So we will be doing the West philosophers for ontological, cosmological as well as teleological and moral. उसके बाद teleological और moral को हम दोबारा revisit करेंगे. In yesterday's class when we were dealing की teleological article के लिए कौन famous है या teleological argument के लिए कौन famous है, one thing I missed out to mention is that there are two very famous arguments given by Aquinas himself. Aquinas has given 5 demonstrable ways for proofs for knowledge. उसमें से 3 cosmological है. What are those 3 arguments? You already know.
Causal argument.
Yes, causal argument.
Proof from contingency.
Argument from contingency and argument from motion. Yes. Ontological, cosmological के chief Western propounders or Western critics. Chief propounders and critics. Who are the propounders? One, Saint Anselm. Anselm we have already studied for ontological proof. Descartes, Leibniz, Locke, Berkeley and Hume. Critique, Kant for ontological proof, as well as cosmological proof. Hume for cosmological proof instead of cosmological. Teleological and moral proof. So they are the chief critics. Additionally, some other criticisms we will be studying, but questions can also be asked just on Descartes' proofs for God or Descartes' conception of God. That can also be a way question can be asked. तो इनको ontological proof में करने के बजाय let us discuss their conception individually. थोड़ा सा we will have to get a background of Western philosophy also while we are doing that. So some of you might face problem, but do not worry. I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. And then when you study Western philosophy, you will have much more clarity. Indian में obviously न्याय, yoga. The conception of God in yoga is asked in UPSC because it is that much more interesting. Then Adi Shankaracharya. विशिष्ट अद्वैत भी है, but the proofs are not that significant as Adi Shankaracharya, plus the critics. Buddhists, Charvakas. So let us begin with Descartes' conception of God, then Leibniz, Descartes' conception and proofs of God. First of all, in ontological proof, what is its background or what is its pillar of support? Ontological proofs are based on what? I'm not asking on ontos or essence of God. Mathematically, their basis is yes. They are based on certain self-evident axioms. Yes or no? What is that self-evident axiom in Descartes' philosophy?
Cogito, sir.
Yes. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. So the existence of I is proved. I or cogito is proved. This is indubitable or indoubtable. So this acts as his self-evident axiom or the premise which is necessarily true. But how does Descartes first establish that God exists? Let us understand that. So दो लाइनें लिखिए and then I'll explain. Descartes first establishes God's existence as a logical deduction from cogito ergo sum, and then supports it with further proofs. Do you agree that you exist?
Yes, sir.
Yes. This agreement Descartes derives by his doubting process. He doubts on everything, whether it be even statements of mathematics, 2 + 2 = 4, उस पे भी डाउट करते हैं कि शायद किसी ने मुझे बेवकूफ बना दिया. Maybe the devil has deceived me. But I may doubt everything, but this process of doubting, can I doubt that I am doubting?
No, sir.
So that is why he says that I doubt cannot be doubted, and he says therefore I exist. तो इसको ये कह देते हैं कि ये एक ऐसी बात है जिसको कोई चैलेंज नहीं कर सकता, इसको आपको मान लेना है. Once that is accepted, on the basis of that he derives many other things through deduction. तो गॉड को उन्होंने डिड्यूस किया है फ्रॉम कोजिटो एर्गो सम और फ्रॉम कोजिटो. तो ये जो कोजिटो है या डेकार्ट के का कॉन्शियसनेस है, द कॉन्शियसनेस ऑफ डेकार्ट रिवील्स द सेल्फ ऑफ डेकार्ट. कोजिटो एर्गो सम का मतलब कॉन्शियसनेस रिवील्स एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ द सेल्फ. दैट यू आर एबल टू बी अ थिंकिंग बीइंग रिवील्स दैट यू आर अ बीइंग और यू आर एग्जिस्टिंग. तो ये जो कोजिटो है, इसके दिमाग में कई सारे आइडियाज हैं. किन किन तरह के आइडियाज हैं? एडवेंसिशियस, फिक्शिशियस एंड इनेट. अगर मैं ये पूछूं कि आपके दिमाग में कितने प्रकार के आइडियाज हैं, इन योर माइंड व्हाट आर द काइंड्स ऑफ आइडियाज?
Sir, three.
व्हाट आर दोस 3 टाइप्स?
Sir, one is based on experience. Other is
One
our
is based
imagination.
on, very good. So what is based on experience is the ideas that are coming from things and beings of the world. उसी को तो एक्सपीरियंस कर रहे हैं आप.
Yes, sir.
So that is what he calls as adventitious or caused by things outside us, जिसका कि हमको एक्सपीरियंस से इंफॉर्मेशन मिलता है. Then what is the next idea that you have in your mind?
Sir, the other one is that what we dream.
Okay, dream and what you can even imagine.
Yes, sir, imagination.
In your imagination Katrina Kaif knows you. But there are some ideas which are innate. For example, even when you are a child, जो चम्मच था उसको मुंह में ही डालना था, नाक में नहीं डालना था. For eating the food, चम्मच तो खैर फिर भी आप नाक में डाल लेते होंगे, बट खाना जो है आपको पता था ना कि where it has to be put. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So there are some ideas which are present by birth. They are present because of the very nature of human reason. And those are very clear and distinct. तो उन क्लियर एंड डिस्टिंक्ट आइडियाज का जो लॉट है उसमें एक आइडिया है द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ अ परफेक्ट गॉड. हर किसी के दिमाग में गॉड का एक कॉन्सेप्ट जरूर है. अब यहां पर आप ओपन डिनाई भी कर सकते हैं. देयर इज एन एथीस्ट सैम हैरिस, ही इज अ वेरी फेमस एथीस्ट. उनसे वीडियो में किसी ने बोला, वेरी फेमस इंडियन थियोलॉजियन इज देयर. तो उन्होंने कहा कि एवरीबडी हैज अ कंसेप्शन और एन आइडिया ऑफ सम supernatural entity or God. Sam Harris said, I don't have. You are putting it into my mind. But for now, let us consider that one of the innate ideas is the concept of a perfect God. Now, what can be its cause? Can you be its cause? Can human beings be cause?
No, sir.
No. Because are we perfect or imperfect?
Imperfect and limited, sir.
Yes. Human beings are finite and limited. Therefore, we definitely cannot be the cause. So, the only other, can material things be the cause?
No, sir.
No, for they themselves are,
Unconscious.
yes, transient, adventitious, unintelligent. Therefore, we have to accept that God himself is the cause of such idea. God exists. Understood, Vikas? How from cogito Descartes derives the existence of God?
Yes, sir.
Therefore, God exists, he has now established. This is different from Anselm. Why? Because दोनों लोग कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ परफेक्ट गॉड को स्टैब्लिश कर रहे हैं. Both Descartes and Anselm are establishing concept of perfect God. But Descartes is establishing it from actual idea of God existing as an innate idea. It is no longer an essence or simply a concept in mind. Whereas on the other hand, Anselm establishes it from essence of God. This essence entails existence. This very essence of God entails his existence. So he can only prove that the concept of God is his very essence. It has no bearing on state of affairs. Or Anselm could not come out of the definitional proof. For Anselm, the ontological argument remains a definition because the concept of God entails his existence is merely a definitional argument for Anselm, whereas for Descartes, the concept of God is God's existence is derived from an actual idea of God being an innate idea. This innate idea actually exists. It is not merely a concept. Next, the cosmological proofs of Descartes. Cosmological proof fairly easy hai. Now Descartes has established God's existence. So he fortifies it now with cosmological argument. It is very same to the causal argument that you have studied in case of Aquinas, but उन्होंने थोड़ा सा एक डिफरेंस करा है. कैसे? Descartes says there must be a creator for all objects and living beings. Now for man, for example, for Rituraj, who are your creators, Rituraj?
The mom and dad.
Yes, mother and father. Who are their creators? Their mother and father, or your grandmother and grandfather? Who are their mother and father? What will ultimately lead to? Fallacy of? Yes.
Infinite regress.
Infinite regress or regress ad infinitum, जिसको कि अंग्रेजी में कहा जाता है इन्फिनाइट रिग्रेस. तो हमको इस सीरीज में एक मदर और फादर मानना पड़ेगा, मतलब one who is both mother and father, the first cause of this universe, that will be God. Very similar to, for example, even in religion, entire humanity, for example, is traced in Christianity to the children of
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. Okay, so please write this point. अच्छा, here ये तो समझ आ गया कि ये it is very similar to the causal argument of Aquinas or cosmological argument of Aquinas. But what is the difference from Aquinas? Aquinas's arguments are based on causality of the world. He says that everything in the world is contingent. There is a causal series A, B, C. हमको यहाँ पे first cause या uncaused cause मानना पड़ेगा. But why Descartes cannot accept this view? Or why Descartes does not accept this argument?
Because he doubts everything.
ठीक है, मतलब बाद में तो does Descartes accept the reality of external world?
Yes, through God.
Through God. तो Descartes में जो है पहला पोस्टुलेट क्या प्रूव करते हैं वो? आई और कॉन्शियसनेस. सेकंड इज गॉड. थर्ड इज world. How is world derived? God has a role to play. Before that, world is under doubt. Because in his method of doubt, Descartes doubts the existence of this world. So world से अगर Descartes प्रूव करते तो उनके ऊपर एक चार्ज लग जाता, that is पेटिशियो प्रिंसिपी और आर्ग्यूमेंट इन अ सर्कल. तो डेकार्ट इस ऑर्डर में प्रूव करते हैं, पहले कोजिटो या अपने आप को साबित करेंगे, अपने इनेट आइडियाज के बेसिस पे गॉड को प्रूव करेंगे, गॉड के बेसिस पे वर्ल्ड को प्रूव करेंगे। कैसे? आई एम नॉट गोइंग इनटू दैट डिबेट, वी विल डू इट इन वेस्टर्न फिलोसफी, नॉट वेरी डिफिकल्ट argument. He will simply say ideas are coming out of things of the world. I cannot be the cause because I am sentient or I am conscious. They are definitely coming from material things. Material things, uh, if they are no, if I do not accept them to be clearly and distinctively coming out of material things, God will become a deceiver, and God is not a deceiver. So they are coming out of those things, and therefore material things exist. Therefore the world exists. So वर्ल्ड को वो बाद में प्रूव करते हैं गॉड के आधार पे. सो ही कैनॉट प्रूव देयरफॉर गॉड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ वर्ल्ड. इट विल बिकम पेटिशियो प्रिंसिपी और आर्गुमेंट इन अ सर्कल. इसीलिए सेंट थॉमस एक्विनास के कॉस्मोलॉजिकल प्रूफ्स और डेकार्ट के कॉस्मोलॉजिकल प्रूफ्स अलग अलग हैं. गॉट दिस पॉइंट?
Yes, sir.
Now his ontological arguments. Obviously it will be definitional based. Just simply write, you will understand. The existence of God, the existence of God is proved from the very idea of a perfect being. Just as equality of three angles of a triangle are equal to two right angles from the very idea of triangle. कोई भी एक यूज कर सकते हैं आप चाहे तो. थ्री एंगल्स ऑफ अ ट्रायंगल फॉलो फ्रॉम वेरी आइडिया ऑफ ट्रायंगल, और टू राइट एंगल्स फॉलो फ्रॉम द वेरी आइडिया ऑफ ट्रायंगल. ऑल्दो ट्रायंगल में दो राइट एंगल तो होंगे नहीं. आई मीन सम ऑफ द एंगल्स इज 180, ऐसा लिख सकते हैं. देयर कैन नॉट बी, कैन द ट्रायंगल हैव टू राइट एंगल्स?
No, sir.
No. So आप three angles of a triangle are equal to two right angles from the very idea of triangle, ऐसा भी लिख लीजिए. इसके आगे एक और लाइन लिखिए. The most perfect being cannot be thought without existence. Now what are the criticisms? या क्वेश्चन ये पूछे कि is Descartes' proofs for God logical? So first, concept of God is bad metaphysics. Metaphysics is when you talk about the nature and number of ultimate reality, and that ultimate reality you are calling as concept of God. So it is bad metaphysics, or it is not free of the charge of a priori line of reasoning or definition based reasoning having no bearing on the state of affair. The charge which was against Anselm lies here also, because आपके हिसाब से the ultimate reality is the concept of a God. So लिख लीजिए इस बात को. Descartes' existence of God from concept is a priori line of reasoning. And the charge against Anselm also holds true against Descartes. Next, if wishes were horses, beggars could ride, and certainly nobody would suffer from want. According to Kant, no amount of thinking can produce an actual thing. Epistemological mistake or epistemological error. Descartes treats existence as a predicate or quality. When he says, I think, therefore I am. So here this is not even syntaxally correct. It is not even epistemologically correct because existence is not a predicate. And the challenge of necessary being लिखिए the ontological proof according to Kant, the ontological proof which Descartes seems to inherit from Saint Anselm suffers from Kant's logical criticism of contradiction in the term necessary being. So this is about Descartes. Any doubt in Descartes? Otherwise, we will begin with Leibniz.